That took me 3 days. It better be worth it.
Now that's a lot of damage!
What's up guys, it's me Zerodomai Kitsune, and not too long ago, Risk of Rain got its second content update, and seeing that not only did I cover it, but I'm still actively playing the game, I thought I could do a follow-up video asking the question, should you install the thickness mod? I mean, if you didn't get the game on early access launch, is it worth getting it now? Well, let's break down what the update has added over the 7 months the game has been in early access. We got 2 new stages, the Scorched Acres and Siren's Call, 2 new characters, Rex and the Loader, a bunch of new items and equipment to play with, some new bosses, and the skill system. All in all, surprisingly not as much content as I was hoping for, particularly with the stages, but in all fairness, that is a decent amount of stuff, especially seeing that this game is only at stage 2 out of its 5-part roadmap. Going into a bit more detail, starting with the most important thing in the game, the items, I think the new additions are pretty damn good. Not many game changers, something I'll get into in a bit, but most of the new items feel very useful and fun to have. One in particular is the Topaz Brooch, which heralds the inclusion of a barrier mechanic that grants extra temporary health that steadily drains over time. Think Lucio's ult in Overwatch, if that helps any. The new mechanic is very fun, and the brooch rewards killing enemies by granting some barrier each time. Another good addition was the Strides of Heresy, a lunar item, and for those who don't play Risk of Rain 2, lunar items are items that can only be obtained with a secondary currency,
turning players into
only obtainable in the game, for now. Anyways, the Strides of Heresy replaces the player's utility skill with an ability called Shadow Fade that makes them intangible and heals them. I really like this item because it synergizes with some characters more than others and changes up how you play rather than simply being either a DPS increase or a survivability increase. Some characters like the Commando might greatly benefit from the new move, while others might be better off sticking with their existing utility skill. Moving on to stages, I'm a bit disappointed with only getting 2 maps, considering that until we get a final boss with the proper release of the game in 2020, all you can do is loop through the stages repeatedly. On the bright side, these new maps make it so there are 2 different variations for each of the 4 stages you play through, when previously only the first 2 stages had alternate maps, while the other 2 were static. The first new map, Scorched Acres, is not my favorite map. It looks pretty and is quite spacious, but the enemies that spawn aren't my favorites to fight, and the boss is, well, we'll get to the boss in a moment. But more importantly, the map seems to be rather straightforward with no unique or hidden secrets put in it just yet. But again, it's pretty big and beautiful. So there's that. The second new map, Siren's Call, is a decently sized map with a lot of verticality in it, and comes with a secret alongside an obligatory new boss for the map. So let's talk about those. Scorched Acres boss annoys me. At first I thought it was going to be a really difficult boss with its imposing shotgun chains and rapid homing wisp, but after a few runs I realized something. It has shotgun chains and homing wisp. Stay out of shotgun range, and you can shoot the wisp, and now the boss is a cakewalk. The thing that sucks though is that the boss's item must have a ridiculously low drop rate because the Scorched Acres was the first content update, and I still haven't gotten it to drop yet. The new boss of Siren's Call is a large eyebot looking thing floating around like some sort of miniature Death Star with laser explosions and mini eye drones. It's pretty fun, but no boss item. That's one of the weird things about Risk of Rain 2 that I had hoped would have been rectified within these 2 updates. Some of the bosses still don't have unique boss drops. To me, that's a key aspect of any loot-based video game, and while a hidden boss got a unique drop in the first update, as well as the Scorched Acres boss having its own drop, even though I haven't gotten it yet, most of the bosses still don't have unique loot, including the boss of the second update. And that's particularly disappointing because the boss items tend to be the coolest and most useful items in the game. Luckily, the next update seems to be adding multiple bosses and stages if I'm reading that right, so maybe that update will rectify things a little bit. The new characters though, 10 out of 10, the best part of these updates. Rex and the Loader are amazing, offering entire new playstyles for anyone tired of the existing roster, as they should. Rex is this sort of hybrid of Natran machine that fights with a 3-round burst that makes it very distinct from its fellow survivors. Rex is designed to be a sort of blood mage, with all of its abilities consuming health to do things like dropping Modars from the sky or entangling up enemies to leech health off of them. This gives him unique synergy with items that react when the user is damaged, allowing it to manually activate it as it pleases. Then there's the loader. This character is exactly why I like the idea of Risk of Rain going 3D. In the first game, she was a pretty standard melee character that had a grappling hook that could pull her to walls, but with the power of technology, she has evolved into a straight member of the Survey Corps, paired up with a chargeable Falcon Punch. Wait a minute, chargeable Falcon Punch? Grappling hook? This bitch is Spencer! Yeah, as you can tell, I love this new character. A little bit one-dimensional though, I will admit that. The thing about the characters is that the game at its core is pretty damn repetitive, and characters with vastly different playstyles help alleviate that feeling, which is why I was extremely excited for the Skills 2.0 update that was going to give all the existing characters new loadouts to alter their playstyles, and like I hinted at earlier, change up the game. Sadly, now that the update is out, I'm quite a bit underwhelmed by it. The new system includes loadouts that give the option to switch out a character's existing moves with variants of them with different properties and stats. On paper, that sounds really cool, but for a lot of these characters, I just feel that the abilities are not as unique as I hoped. While some characters like the Commando got really good alternate skills, replacing his rapid fire ultimate with a grenade throw, and more importantly, allowing people to get rid of that underwhelming piercing shot for a motherfucking shotgun blast. Others got skills that, while sometimes useful, don't change up the game as much as I hope for. My personal favorite waifu, the Artificer, is a good example of both extremes. Her skills include replacing the raw, destructive might of her flamethrower for a colossal rocket jump, not only giving her some much needed mobility, but paired with her passive floating ability, allows her to permanently stay airborne without the need of items. But then she has the replacement for a primary firebolt attack. This is super confusing since the move has so many parts to it. It's a moderate speed projectile with an ammo system that explodes and deals a fire damage over time, and the skill we get is just a higher damage firebolt with no dot and a larger explosion. I was hoping for things like the engineer spawning a single awesome turret, maybe, I don't know, the player could mount it on their shoulders or replace his basic grenade launcher with a more traditional gun. Stuff not to improve the character, but to make them play significantly different from their base. But hey, the new skills are a nice addition in concept, and at the very least, the added menu might give modders a new tool to play around with. So with all that said, do I think Risk of Rain 2 is now a good buy for anyone that hasn't already jumped on early access? And not really. Not saying that it isn't a good game, but if there was just something about the title that kept you from buying it initially, aside from being, early access, then in my opinion, not enough has changed to warrant a second look. Maybe the fall update or the winter update with Hidden Realms and Artifacts 2.0 respectively might change that, but for now, I don't think it's enough. But now I think I'm pretty much done with the game as it is. So now, it's time to mod it until it breaks. So hit that subscribe button, because if I find any particularly good ones, I'll be sure to let you guys know. With that said, I'll see you guys next time. Peace!